We were all wrong about the celestial dragons and the holy knights. Let me explain who the celestial dragons really are, how the world government actually works, and where the holy knights fit into that system. I will also reveal what those swords around the empty throne truly represent. Stay until the end, it will all make sense, and please give the channel a subscribe to help it reach that 1K milestone. Let's begin. Up until now, we've always seen the celestial dragons as a chosen people with a special bloodline, living and acting above everyone and everything. No wonder Oda based them on the stereotypes of old world nobility. Just like the nobles of history, the celestial dragons have lived in isolation for 900 years, refusing even to breathe the same air as commoners. Mentally, they are driven purely by selfish desires, the immediate need of the moment. And that inner ugliness shows on the outside too. 900 years of inbreeding will do that. But that led me to wonder, why do the gods' knights look so different from the celestial dragons? Something doesn't add up. Remember Saint Dahoming, Doflamingo's father? He was the first celestial dragon who willingly declared that they were just humans. For that, the others branded him a heretic, because according to them, they are the kin of the dragon. The same happened with Don Quixote Mayoscard, who saw fishmen as equals and helped Shirahoshi. For that, he was executed by Figarland Garling. Even Bonney, despite being the half-celestial dragon, was still subjected to Saturn's experiments. So, what does this tell us? If a celestial dragon goes against the system, they're eliminated. Those who are half-bloods have fewer rights, treated almost like commoners. Impure, not of the true dragon bloodline. So, considering all this, where do the gods' knights fit within this hierarchy? Gods' Knights is a military organization. The celestial dragons would never endanger themselves. No matter the situation, celestial dragons never dirty their own hands. They order others to do everything, even the simplest tasks, too tedious. They ride on slaves. Even the roads beneath them are moved by slaves. Truly horrifying. So, why would people like that ever bother to learn how to fight? There's no reason. Even among the 5 elders we saw on Egghead, only Saint Nusjuro seems capable of real combat, likely because of his connection to Wano. The others mostly rely on their overpowered devil fruits rather than physical skill. They don't compare to the other old legends like Whitebeard, Garp, or Rayleigh, who fought through sheer strength and will. That's why it's so strange that the Gods' Knights, a clear military organization similar to the CP agents, are supposedly made up of celestial dragons. Why would pampered nobles be warriors? And that's exactly the point I want to explore in this video. The Gods' Knights aren't truly celestial dragons, at least not fully. In fact, their existence connects to a much bigger picture. Let's analyze the link between the Gods' Knights and the celestial dragons. We know that the celestial dragons are descendants of the original 20 royal families who founded the world government. That includes different bloodlines, such as the Figarland family, the Shepherd family, the Manmeyer family, and more. Keep that in mind. It will connect directly to what I'm about to explain next. Gods' Knights look very different from the usual celestial dragons, especially with the introduction of the 3 recently revealed Holy Knights. Let's start with Mafi. She's clearly not a normal human. Aside from her massive size, she has sharp teeth and horns. Her hair and head design resemble Mount Fuji, exactly like the mountain of Wano capitals. In fact, both Black Maria and Moria share this same connection to Wano. And both have disproportionate bodies and horns very similar to Mafi's. She clearly is not a human. We also know that Gunko wasn't one of the original Gods' Knights. She was originally a royal, who later joined the Celestial Dragons and became part of the Manmeyer family. That alone proves something huge. Royalty can become Celestial Dragons. Then there's Kiringem, a member of the Rimoshifu family. He's clearly half fishman. You can tell from his pointy teeth and visible gills. He's also always seen in his hybrid form. Considering the celestial dragons actively enslave fishmen and merfolk, it makes perfect sense that he stays in hybrid form, to hide his race and appear less of an eyesore to the other celestial dragons. Next, Summers. He's enormous compared to a typical celestial dragon. His line to Shaki, "Life is not a fairy tale, and that it really sucks," shows that he's speaking from experience. It would be very strange for the celestial dragon who have ultimate power to talk about life that way. It likely means he didn't have the privileged life they normally do. That suggests Summers wasn't originally a celestial dragon. Either he wasn't born into the shepherd family, or he's also a half-blood. Then there's the new celestial dragon who looks like a Yeti or Bigfoot. Clearly not human either. And you might ask, what about the Figarland family, like Garling and Shamrock? We learned that Shamrock's mother was originally from God Valley, meaning Shamrock himself is half Figarland. Yet he still ended up as a leader among the celestial dragons. But notice how his visit to the five elders didn't make them happy. They commented negatively about his standing. Why? Because to them he was just a god's knight, nothing more than a military asset. As for Figarland Garling, let's remember one thing. The celestial dragons idolize him. To them, he's handsome, refined, and a hero of God Valley. Very different from the grotesque appearance of most celestial dragons. But Garling's story is far darker than his reputation suggests. When Garling discovered that he had children, he took it as nothing more than a trivial fact, and killed the mother without hesitation. Even Muffy herself said, "Who would have thought a prick like Garling could have a kid?" Even the other gods' knights consider him prick. Because the man responsible for the horrors inflicted on Kuma and Ginny was none other than Figarland Garling himself. And here's where it gets even darker. It's highly likely that Garling is also Bonney's father. Take a look at the picture of the Drew of Bonney as a man. She looks almost identical to Shanks and Shamrock. Why? Because the celestial dragon who took Ginny as his bride was none other than Garling, and since he cares nothing for the lives of his lovers, he allowed Saturn to experiment on both her and their child. But let's return to the main topic. Even Loki was once offered a position to become both a god's knight and a celestial dragon, despite being a giant. What all of this means is simple but profound. Others can become holy knights, and even celestial dragons, without having celestial dragon blood. However, the system ensures that anyone who isn't purely human stays within the ranks of the god's knights, used strictly as military tools. That's exactly what Summers meant when he spoke to the Soul and Giants. Their only purpose was to be used in war, as mercenaries. It's the same pattern we see now. Other races being exploited by the world government, just like the mixed blood gods' knights. So this idea that the celestial dragons are special because of their bloodline? It's a lie. Propaganda designed to preserve their power and keep other races in check. When Garling entered the room of the elders to replace Saturn, 5 elders were outraged. They demanded that he know his place, and yet they still accepted it when Saturn was replaced, almost as if it had happened before. Why? Because it was ordered by Imu. And that detail hints at an even bigger picture, one that redefines what the world government and the celestial dragons truly are. The world of One Piece isn't just diverse because of its size or landscapes. It's diverse because of its races and civilizations. At the Reverie in Mariajois, we see leaders from every kind of nation and race gathering to represent the world government. They're drastically different, physically, culturally, even biologically, and all of them, in one way or another, are the ones who make up the so-called world government. Just like the Reverie nations today, the original world government was formed by 20 kingdoms that united to defeat Joy Boy. Those 20 kings relinquished their titles, moved to Mariajois, and became the celestial dragons, according to official history. But honestly, that's the biggest bullshit I have ever heard in One Piece. And here's why. After 900 years, the world of One Piece looks incredibly diverse. Yet the celestial dragons are exclusively human. If they truly descended from 20 different nations, how is it possible that every single one of them ended up being human? The answer is simple. The celestial dragons and the people from the original 20 nations are not the same. The only thing that remains from those original kings are the swords standing before the empty throne. Remember Queen Lily of Alabasta? She never returned to her kingdom. Only her letter survived. That means she either died in Mariejois like Cobra, or she escaped and eventually founded Amazon Lily. So, what do those swords really represent? The clue is right in front of us. In One Piece, swords piercing the ground are always symbols of the dead. Look at the graves of Ace and Whitebeard. Their weapons were left standing at their burial sites, serving as grave markers. In the recent chapters, when Yamato visited the shrine of this certain hero, Kozuki Moriya, we can see swords surrounded the area left by the warriors who died protecting Wano. In Ringo, katanas are used as grave markers, a symbol of honor and remembrance. Even in Onigashima, what do we see beside that massive skull? A giant sword driven into the ground. And on Elbaf, there's another colossal blade embedded in a great tree. Makes you wonder, whose grave could that be? It's clear now. In One Piece, swords are often used to mark graves. So, those swords standing before the empty throne, they're not just ceremonial. They represent the graves of the original kings, the members of the First World Government who were killed by Imu and the Celestial Dragons. Why? Because they discovered the truth. The same fate that befell Cobra and Lily. The same fate that destroyed Ohara and Lulusia. That's what happens to anyone who learns the real history. That's what the world government has always done best, erasing the truth since the very day it was founded. Similar fate befell to Lunarians, who were the original rulers of the Marijoa. They got extinct and land was stolen. Most celestial dragons today don't even know their own history. They live sealed inside bubbles, both literally and mentally. Only the 5 elders and the holy knights know fragments of the truth, and even they live under Imu's absolute control. Imu keeps them on such a tight leash that their lives could be taken at any moment. The celestial dragons are prisoners inside a world they themselves created, trapped in a bubble of delusion under Imu's total domination. She is the unseen absolute ruler of the world, and nobody even knows she exists. Not even the smartest man in One Piece, Vegapunk, could uncover the full truth about the world government. And lastly, look at the titles of these One Piece chapter opening panels. They appear side by side, almost like a poetic haiku that Oda left for us. Above the Fishman Island, who are you? Phantom. Oda's genius never ceases to amaze me. So, if you enjoyed it, hit that like and subscribe button to help the channel grow. It really means a lot. And tell me what you think in the comments. Whose graves do you believe lie on Onigashima and Elbaf? I have some ideas of my own, and I'd love to hear yours. This topic was massive, and I had to tweak a lot of things to make it all fit, but I hope it made sense. Thank you so much for watching until the end. I got some incredible upcoming videos, including one about the location of the One Piece itself, because I think I finally figured out where it might be. See you next time.